back, everyone, to FanGirl Review, and here I am again, Sarah Stephenson, willing and ready to give to you guys some more reviews. So tonight we are going to review the new movie that just came out not too long ago called Total Killer. And seeing as we're getting close to Halloween, we only have a few more days left. I thought I might review another Halloween possible movie for all of you guys. So the story takes place in modern times, where a girl named Jamie is getting ready to hang out with her friend Amelia, and of course her mother is overprotective and comes off as a little bit, wants to make sure her daughter is 100% protective. She gives her a crystal, she gives her pepper spray, mace and stuff, and goes on about her daughter goes on lecturing that you have overprotected me all my life. You even signed me up for karate lessons and all that stuff. So don't worry about me so much. There was a killer that was back in the 1980s that was stalking her mother and her friends, and some of her friends have got killed, and so her mother is a little worried about the past repeating itself because the killer has not been caught. So when her daughter goes off to a concert with her friend Amelia, she's at home, making sure to give out candy to trick-or-treaters. And while there, the killer somehow makes an reappearance and tracks her down and kills her. And then later on, we get people are upset that the killer has re-emerged, and everyone feels pity for Jamie, who's now feeling like she wishes that she could have listened to her mother earlier and stuff like that. Anyway, she then goes treats to an old fairground that's haunted, and according to her, it's a sort of science fair, and I know what you're thinking. It's who would hold a science fair in the middle of a haunted theme park? Well, it's a comedy horror. What do you expect? Anyway, she meets up with Amelia and tells her about her time machine that's actually a photo booth that she's using, and according to her, she's actually getting these ideas, or came up with the concept from her mother, who made the time machine, way back when. And it also has the date of the first murder from the original killers back in 1987, something or other. So anyway, Amelia and Jamie are really excited about this, and of course we then go back to her actually talking to an interviewer named Chris, who's a bit of a podcaster who was trying to discuss with her about the killer and how her mother contacted him regarding the killer and trying to uncover his identity. He also produces a note that says that she got from her mother, Pam, and it says that the killer will come for her next someday. Anyway, eventually Jamie goes to the theme park again, and she gets chased down by the killer, and she goes into the photo booth, and then thanks to the killer, they're transformed back in time, or at least she does anyway. And soon enough, she arrives in the 1980s, and there you see a lot of backwards thinking people in those days. Like, no one takes crime seriously. All the kids are nasty to one another. And her mother, who was the polar opposite to her original mother, is now the nasty girl at the school, and she's part of this horrible, nasty clique of girls who don't seem to care about anyone else except for themselves, except for guys and other stuff like that. Anyway, she tries to uncover who the killer is, and of course, in order to stop the current killings and maybe saving her mother in the present. So she goes on this little mission, and of course the girls in the school, her mum, don't want to talk to her, and she then meets up with Amelia's mother, who is really nice, and she offers to help because she knows about the time machine she's referring to, and offers to help to fix it up and try to send her back to the present after when this is all over. Of course, we know as we go along, she tries her absolute hardest to try to stop the murders, but every time she interferes, something happens, causing a ripple effect where a different person gets killed. Anyway, so she confides herself to Pamela that she's psychic and she's there to stop the murders from occurring. Of course, I don't think she'll believe her if she's her future daughter. I don't know if she would. That was so not some good review when I think about it. Anyway, they do eventually, after a couple of missteps here and there, she eventually works out when the killer's going to be striking next, obviously, where it's going to take place in a theme park, and the same theme park where they are developing the time machine, and they realize that the time machine just needs a strong energy source, so they use another sort of ride called the Great Drop or something. I don't know what it's called. And it's sort of like spinning top ride, obviously. Anyway, they use that as its sort of time machine source or something like that. There's a lot of Back to the Future references in this movie. Considering this is back in the 1980s, and you get a lot of that type of particular information. Anyway, so she eventually, when they do finally find out who the killer is, and it turns out to be an outcast named Doug. And also I should mention that we do get going back and forth between time and future and the past, where her friend Amelia tries to find out what's happening to her friend and finds photos and evidence that the time machine is working. Of course, she confides this with the podcaster Chris, and Chris kind of I don't know if he kills her, but I think he has it. Well, he probably kills her, obviously. Anyway, he goes back in time and tries to kill possibly Pamela and Jamie, obviously, and any of the other people who have not been killed. He then chases them, and eventually she ends up inside the special top thing, right? And eventually she faces down the killer, and he tells her that about the note is false, that he wrote it so he can get her to, here, obviously. Anyway, he says, he goes on about how he wanted to make this he wanted to create more murders so he can create more content about the podcast. He didn't know that Doug was the killer, obviously. Everyone only knew that the killer kind of vanished and disappeared. Anyway, luckily enough, Jamie fights him off and then returns to the present. There she finds her mother and her father planning to get ready for Halloween. And there we learn there are a few new changes. Like thanks to her being in the past, it caused a little bit of a ripple effect where her mother and father, she ended up having an older brother, and his name is Jamie. Meaning her, in other words, before she was born, her parents had another child, and they had him in high school. And of course, wait till the beginning of the movie, her father tells her that they didn't want to rush getting, to bed together. So they waited until they got out of college, and then got pregnant that way, obviously. But then, thanks to her appearance in the past, it caused them to have sex early and had a child probably in high school or something. Anyway, her new brother is in his 30s. I think he's about 34, I think it is. And he's married and has a kid. And we also discover some new differences in the present. And luckily enough, Amelia's mother was able to write it all down for her, so she can actually read up and know what all the new changes are happening in this timeline. So the movie itself, what can I say about it? It makes me think of Friday the 5th. It makes me think of Halloween and Back to the Future. I like the fact that this took a different approach to sort of the whole comedy horror thing. I kind of liked it a little bit. The mask itself that the killer wears, it makes me think of a cross between Michael Myers meets Donald Trump, or another type of person I'm not familiar with. But aside from that, I'm kind of a little bit disappointed in the end part, because no doubt if the killer was copycat killer, no doubt the in fact he's already killed before. So how is he like having him killed off when he was in the past? I don't know if that would how would have made her mother still be alive. I mean, considering that he killed her in his present, and I don't know. I'm not familiar with time travel. I don't know what would happen if I went back in time and changed something, and someone came with me, and somehow left them there. What would have happened then? Would they have disappeared? Would they not exist? I don't know. Well, they probably would have gone on the missing persons list in the police department. I don't know. Again, as I said before, there's so many things to try to make out in this movie. I don't understand how the writers can keep it all in proportion. Obviously, I did think it was interesting. The guy's motives for doing the killings was pretty interesting, where he was doing it so he can gain new content and followers for his podcast. I can understand that. Anyway, the story, I liked it when she befriended her best friend's mother in that time, in that past, and I liked the connection there. I like the fact that when she goes to the past, she doesn't get along with her mother in that line, because that period, because, well, it makes a little sense that if your parents were quite different, and we're not necessarily the nicest people they were, years later. Obviously, it seems to have a good mixture there, and because people, as we grow older and stuff like that, we change over time, and we then as we get older, we start developing new changes in our lives, and we become nice people, or even tormented people, depending on, I guess, what we're exposed to and what things we grew up with, stuff like that. So it's understandable that her mother, her in the present, would be a nice person, and the woman that she knew when she was younger would turn out to be such a nasty person. The people that she encounters, they're mostly not likable, and while I like the lead character, Jamie, she's really nice, and I think if I wanted to hang out with anyone, I would like to hang out with her, obviously. And I do think that except for the big reveal, I don't think I liked any. I didn't like those particular characters that she encounters. They're not really nice, but I did like the time machine approach, where a girl going back in time, trying to stop a killer, and then causing a lot of influence to the future. That I thought was kind of cool, obviously. Anyway, it also makes me think of other movies, other current ones like Freaky, and let me see, there's the Final Girls. I like that one. They make me think of those two particular movies where it takes you, a funny plot like Back to the Future, and then add a bit of a horrible killer in your midst in the story. It's an interesting take. Like in Freaky, that one was taken from Freaky Friday, and that deals with two characters, like the killer and our lead girl, and they switch their lives, and it's up to our girl to try to stop the killer, obviously. I gotta admit, I like the fact that they're taking something really funny, like from comedy, and turning it into this really creepy horror montage. Of course, not necessarily it's gonna be 100% going to get really good results, but I like the fact that they're trying their hardest to try something new for the audience out there. So anyway, I'm going to rate this now. I'm going to rate it 3.5 out of 5. I was a little disappointed about the big reveal, but other than that, the other stuff was not too bad. So anyway, that's it for me on this movie review, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed my latest video, and I'll see you guys next time on FanGirl Review. Bye for now.